Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to hear another episode of It's Your Healthy Lifestyle on USA Global TV and Radio. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us here on USA Global TV and Radio. Yes, in another episode, we have an amazing topic. It's becoming the strongest, healthiest version of yourself. And I want to start this with a short quote I was reading by a medical doctor from the US, Mark Hyman. He said, "The most underrated form of self-respect is taking care of your health before it demands your attention." And it's all about. And I'm not running the show alone. As you know, we always do it together. I'm very happy that she's here with me again. She's my mentor. She's the CEO and founder of USA Global TV and Radio, my dear friend, and she has the same passion like myself for health, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Roland. It's good to be here.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, today's 101 days without sugar and alcohol. And and you know, it's really interesting because yesterday I did a unscripted show. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did it by myself about the 100 days. It was really exciting. And I really got a lot of great feedback, except for one rather rude person who put something that I don't have enough focus. And I thought that was pretty funny.
That's cool. You know, I was posting something that I'm here in Sicily and I stay longer that I'm expected to be. And I made a photo in front of my motorhome, and I had a lot of amazing comments. And some person I put a comment on it and said, "You look at a too long roasted chicken." Roasted.
Isn't it incredible how people have nothing better to do? I mean, I know we're talking today about becoming the best version of ourselves, and I really want people to think about, what is it about being mean that makes people feel so good? I don't get it. It's like you could come up with any comment whatsoever, and it could be nice or it could not be nice, and you choose to go with something not nice. Why? Why is that, Roland?
Well, the point is, the more comments I get like this, I know the more successful I am.
I know. I was thinking about that last night. I was thinking, and it was funny about this comment that I got. The person wrote, "Jacalyn, we know each other." And he wrote, "It's not the Chardonnay. You don't have enough focus. You need to find love!" Exclamation point, exclamation point. And I thought, that's a very interesting thing to post on my celebration about 100 days of sobriety. Not like congratulations, but that I need more focus. And my problem is not drinking. It's that I need to find love. So I don't know what to make of that, but look in the mirror, person, and see where you have work to do before you start looking at other people, right?
100%. Yeah, it's funny, you know.
It's funny.
It's really fun. But you know, I always say, about 20 years ago, everybody was spending time in the bathroom with a newspaper. Today, they spend the time on the bathroom with their smartphone. So
I love that. I love that. So good. It's just like, even when we're broadcasting, you know, sometimes we get really nasty comments that might have nothing to do with us. And I think to myself, like, my first go-to is to bring it up and kind of just make the person aware, like, everyone now knows that you are the person who said this, but I don't want to waste my time. But when we think about being the best version of ourselves, I think it is, how are we showing up to other people? Not looking for external validation, but are we being kind and gracious and compassionate human beings? Are we being human beings that are filled with hatred and anger?
Yeah, but many people are just frustrated, and I understand it a little bit, because times are really tough and they're getting tougher and tougher. Since economic crisis, energy crisis, wars, and so people get frustrated. And the interesting thing is, I was listening to a very nice talk by Professor Broke. He is I forget it, a Harvard or Stanford professor, and he's teaching happiness. And he was talking. It was AI Summit. And he was talking about how we can use AI. But the interesting thing is what is working and what is not working. He was talking about social media, to connect people. The idea of social media was connecting people, like on all these different offers we have on the market. But more and more people feel lonely and stressed and frustrated. And they said the reason for that is you cannot solve a complex problem like love, relationship, with a complicated version with the technology. This is not working. This was very, very interesting. So people had the hope with social media and all this stuff that they find love, attention, acknowledgement, whatever. No, it's not working. And then they're more and more frustrated. And the other thing is, sorry for the term, but most people don't have the balls to give you direct feedback. And so in the anonymity of social media or whatever, they can type whatever they want, and they feel safe because it has no consequences on their behavior. But that's what we have to deal with.
I agree with you. I think, something that really brings things to life for me is, we just had a show before this called Beyond Survival about a young man who actually lost his arm and almost died in a motorcycle accident. And we've had a number of guests who are really dealing with very serious issues. And I know in the world now there's a lot of fear, but guess what? There's always been fear. I mean, if my parents were still alive, they would tell you things that they went through when they were growing up. My dad used to say, "You think this is something? Let me tell you what I've been through." And of course, with various administrations and whomever it is that's running whatever country, there's always people for and there's always people against. There's inflation, there's deflation. It comes and goes. It's like a cycle. But to me, that doesn't give people the right to step on someone else's happiness. And that's what people do. They're so filled with anger and so bitter. Even people watching right now, I'm sure that there are people out there who are haters. But you've got to look at your own life and figure out, what is it that you can do to find happiness? You're not going to find it in the hatred. You're not going to find it in the contempt. You're going to find it when you find peace. And Roland, I don't know, but to be the best version of yourself, can you be that filled with hatred?
No, not at all. Not at all, Dr. Jacalyn. But it's some people are behaving like they're behaving, and for some reasons. And what most people don't understand or forget is, when in communication, when you say something, it says always more about the talker than the receiver. That's what we forget. So we're always sending a message with what we're talking. And actually, there's a nice joke outside. I don't know if you ever heard about. Two friends, they are made up that they're going to meet at one person apartment. So the guy's showing up and ringing, and there was nobody opened the door. He was ringing again. Nobody opened the door. He was pissed off. He was knocking on the door. He was knocking on the door. He was screaming. He was so pissed off because the other person maybe forgot it for some reason to be there. So he took a piece of paper and writing on it, "idiot," and nailed it on the door. A few days later, the two guys met again, and the one said, "Hey, I was at your house. You haven't been home. I was there." And the other one said, "I know, you left your business card."
Is I supposed to laugh there? Is that I'm waiting for that?
The guy took a paper and write on "idiot" because the other one said, "I know that you've been there. You left your business card."
Right. But you know,
But
something to what you just said really makes a difference. We leave people with an impression. And the one thing I really want to share in terms of being the best version of ourselves, that doesn't mean that you have to be a people pleaser and always say yes. Sometimes people feel that way. They feel like, okay, the more I say yes, the nicer I am, the softer I am. No, that means you're going to get taken advantage of potentially, and or you are going to feel very upset about the fact that you're always saying yes. It has to be a give and take. And on the other side, if you're always saying no, if you're never willing to meet somewhere in the middle, then that feels uncomfortable. So what do you think the actual answer is in terms of taking one first step right now? Anybody who is watching, listening, what is one very small first step that somebody could take so that they are on their way, if they continue on, to be the best version of themselves?
yeah, but being the best version of yourself and meaning also being mentally healthy, yeah, is I think we have to that everyone has to be clear in the beginning. What do you really want in your life? What's your truth? And what's your truth? And what are your values? What are your values? What are you standing for? And according to your values, you act and behave. It's quite simple. It's quite
Well,
simple.
think about children. Okay, if
Yeah.
you think about a child, how innocent they are and how curious they are, and they typically are all, you know, it doesn't matter what another child looks like, they're running to one another until something happens. You know, maybe a child goes through something at home or in school, and then they change and they feel a different way. But during the time when they have all that innocence, everyone's getting along. And it's a shame that as humans, we are so far separated from each other in some ways because of the fact that we are unhappy with ourselves. We're unhappy with our situation. We're unhappy with our fate. We feel limited. We feel confined, all of these different things. So I feel like one of the first steps that you can take is being willing and open to curiosity.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's most people don't have anymore. Kids, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, kids have it, but when you go to kindergarten and your school, and when you're curious, you're asking questions. Why? What? And then I heard it always from my parents. I made them. I drove them mad. Why I was asking why? Stop asking. Stop asking. And then after a while, you gave up because you want to be loved by your dad and your mom, and you gave up asking. Same in the kindergarten and school, and then curiosity is going down. That's what's happening very often. But kids are very innocent, and the thing is not all about curiosity. When we think about mental health, is we have so-called emotions. We have primary emotions, meaning primary emotion is we are hungry, for example. We are thirsty, so we are hungry, so we eat something. We are thirsty, we feel pain, something like that. And we have this as a kid in the beginning, like every animal has. And then what we learn is after a while through education is not reacting directly on the emotion, but interpreting the emotion. And then we call it on the second level, it's called second emotions. And then we're interpreting. I give you an example. When you go to the park with your grandkids or whatever, yeah, you go to the park and you feed the ducks there. You have some bread and you throw some bread in the pond. One piece. What is going on? The primary emotion of these ducks are hunger. And there's somebody who has bread. So what they're going, everybody comes, every duck comes in. So, and one duck gets the bread. And what is duck doing? Trying to escape and have a peaceful time to enjoy the bread. The other ducks are trying to chase the other duck to get the bread. And sometimes they give up. Somebody is succeeding having the bread. What are the other ducks doing? They're still in their primary emotion, feeling hunger. What they're doing? They come back and said, okay, there is a source for bread. Let's go. A second emotion would be, if a duck would be an adult, what would they do? They would say, no, why is he or she throwing the bread to her and not to me? When this person is showing up, I never stay in the line for bread, but because this person is always giving the bread somebody else. We're interpreting the situation. We don't stay in the primary emotion. And that's what happened. We're always interpreting what's going on. We're judging, we're interpreting without staying to our emotions and expressing our emotions. That's what's happened. I hope I could explain it clearly.
Yeah, you did, definitely. You did. And something that you mentioned about the why, and children was, well, why? Well, why? That's very different in many ways than as adults. Well, why? Why were you doing this? Why were you late? Why didn't you answer the phone? That's more of a defensive thing than a curiosity thing. So I often find, especially with myself, I've done a lot of work on myself, which is why I thought that comment from that person was so interesting. I have a lot of focus. My focus is amazing. And I don't know how you can imply that if you drink Chardonnay, you're going to have more focus than if you don't. I don't think that makes any sense. But I haven't always been the way I am now. I've been on a journey and I've been working on myself. And so I have had a lot of flaws and a lot of faults, and I still have some. I don't have as many as I used to, but I am always open to hearing feedback. And I think that's part of the problem that we have. I want to look at that as an opportunity, that if you are not open to feedback, what is it that's preventing you from that? Is it your ego? Is it fear of learning something about yourself that you then would have to work on and you don't want to? What are your thoughts about it, Roland?
Well, you know that I passed the last years with a lot of men's work. I did it. And honestly, I'm going to stop it.
No more. That's the end.
I gotta stop that. But what I realized is, and I was the same, to be honest, 20 years ago, I was the same. So many people are a small child in an adult body. Yeah. We are small child in an adult body. What I mean by a small child, not just playful. Yeah. What I mean is we are behaving like a small child. When mommy doesn't buy me this chocolate, I'm screaming. When daddy doesn't give me, I'm shouting, I'm screaming. And that's a behaving that we learned, and we still do it. We are so ego driven. Most of the people are even driven. Small child in an adult body. And I see it so often with men. Yeah, a little crying boy in an adult body, because most people didn't really develop. And there are different reasons for that. It would be go to white, but that's what I see. And I saw it also with top managers. They're behaving like little boys. They're screaming at their team members when they don't get the results, instead of explaining them exactly what the expectations are. And secondly, make clear if the team member has understood what is expected and also knows how to perform and also knows why the person should do it. But most managers don't do it, and then they don't get the results because they never learn to properly communicate and listen, and then they start screaming instead of saying something different. And that's what happened. That's what I see every day.
It's
I know it's strong to pick up, but it is like it is.
No, I know what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. I think sometimes people think one of two things. One, they're not capable of having a best version because they have certain things that they like to do or certain ways they like to be, that they're not willing to change those. And the second thing is that sometimes people think it's not attainable. It's not attainable. So either you don't want to see the fact that you are not the best version of yourself and you don't want to do the work, or you think it's impossible to get to. You have this idea in your mind of what you think the best is, and you have that personality. What's it called when you, I can't think of the name. You don't think that you're good enough. Yeah. You don't think that it's possible for you to attain that. Maybe there's some other options. What do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, the other thing is, we always surround with like-minded people.
Yeah, true.
And sorry for that. When you're crap, then your environment is crap, because otherwise these guys would leave you. We say that we are the average of five persons we surround ourselves. So, and then the thing for that, and the trap is that we don't get a proper feedback, or people are not. Maybe your friends are the same like you, and they feel good, and they said, "Okay, I'm the same, so everything is okay because everyone around me is like me." Yeah, this kind of peer group. And that's why I always say to my clients, surround with people who are better than you. I know it's challenging because, of course, when you go to a party, you want to be the number one, then everybody's listening to you. But then you don't learn, you don't improve. Go somewhere where people are better than you and just listen. Listen and learn. Shut down and listen and learn. That's how you improve. But most people do the other way around. They want to be the talkers in the middle. And then you never improve.
It's very true. I want to talk about the evolution from being a child. When I was growing up, and you and I are similar in age, although I'm older, yes. When we were growing up, it wasn't the same as what it's evolved to, which is everyone gets a trophy, everyone gets recognized, everyone's successful. And so it's kind of difficult, because if you have that mindset where everyone's going to get the award, everyone's going to get the trophy, everyone's going to be number one, and then you get older and you realize that's actually not the case, it's almost like the carpet's been ripped out from under you, because that's what you grew up understanding. So on the other side, when people think, okay, well, they're like in the Olympics, for example, you're going to have the gold, the silver, and the bronze. They don't have 25 different awards. And if you've got 50 people participating, they don't have medals for everyone who shows up. And in some cases, if they did, people wouldn't participate because they want to know they are the best, right? Somebody just broke the marathon and came in under 2 hours, which is incredible. But if they said, okay, everyone who shows up is going to get recognition, we're going to do a news program on every single person here. So where I'm going with this is, when you look at being the best version of yourself, that doesn't mean necessarily that you have to get an award or a trophy or a certificate. It means that in your body, in your soul, with your intuition, you're doing the best that you feel that you can do. You're at peace with how you are performing. What are your thoughts about what I just said?
100%. And I think it's so important that we take care of ourselves and perform good, even if nobody's watching. That's so important.
Yes.
Without any audience, be the best version, and no matter if somebody's watching or not. So, because most people are looking for applause, and they're like this, and when people are going on, they're like this, and no, behave, act, and perform, no matter if somebody's watching or not and observing. I think that's making a difference. Most people they always need an audience around, and when they're by themselves, they hang around like, I said, what is going on? And the same is, I live in a motorhome, and my new partner said, Roland, it's amazing. You live in a motorhome, but when we go for a coffee or whatever, you always dress up like we, and you come around and want to say, what are you expecting? Do you mean that I live in a motorhome in an RV full time? Does it mean that I look like, I don't know who? Yeah, and I said, yeah, even in my motorhome, if I'm staying in the wild, nobody's there, just the dog and myself, I dress up, I clean, I shower, I shave, I go to the barber shop, because I do it for myself and not for the other. And I think that's so important, that we value ourselves and become the best version of ourselves, no matter if you have audience or not. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, very, very true. I agree with that. It's when I was in corporate, the company that I worked for last, our motto was, we do the right thing when no one's looking. And so it's not about getting that pat on the back. And I know for me, what I thought was interesting is when I gave my story yesterday about choosing not to have alcohol or sugar, it wasn't for anyone to say, hey, well done. And at the same time, I don't need people with negative feedback. It's basically saying, I made these decisions. I did it without an accountability partner, wasn't checking in with anyone, wasn't coming home to people going, hey, what are you doing? What were you eating? What were you drinking? I did it all myself because that's who it was for. And that who it is for. So what I think for each and every one of us, it's not about that external validation. It's not about the promise of what could be, right? Because even though I changed my habits, that doesn't mean I'm going to live longer. We don't know. It's cast to fate. But you do what you're doing to the best of your ability because it feels good. And when it feels good, we are at peace. And how many people are not sleeping well? How many people are tormented? Control what you can. And by the way, I just was reading an article that this particular study referenced the highest indication of cancer was based on a number of things, one of which was always having to be in control. And so when you always have to be in control of everything, and you are also filled with hatred and fear, and you're acting out in these ways, it probably will have an impact on your health. It's a lot of work to carry all that around. It's about baggage, right?
100%. There comes a quote to my mind. Give me a second. And it says, I read it. It says, your body is not your enemy. It's the most loyal thing you own. It has absorbed years of stress, poor sleep, processed food, and it is still there, still asking to be helped. I love this quote. What do you think?
I love it too. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's a big topic, and I think that if we don't actually break it down into things that we can do and we can witness, we can check them off, we can say, okay, instead of doing these things every day, I'm going to eliminate them and make room for these things so that I can be the best version of myself. And by the way, the best version of ourselves does not mean the version that your parents wanted for you, or the version your partner wants for you, or that your employer wants for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's that you knowingly say, you know what? I'm very happy with who I am. I'm at peace with who I am. Now, Roland, for people out there, the ones who are filled with fear and anxiety and hatred, and maybe that's all they know, they may be thinking, well, this is the best version of me. So what would you say to someone about that?
You know, when you behave and act for a very long time, whatever it is, and you get used to it, and then you think it's normal. And as I said, and then you're surrounded with like-minded people who are behave like you, and then you think it's normal. And most people don't have a clue how it is to be healthy and fit and the strongest version. And it's interesting. Sometimes when the pain is really too much, or when there is a trauma happening or whatever's going on, people are ready to change. Yeah. And people are ready to change. And I hear it very often that they say afterwards, oh, I didn't know that it feels so good to have 100 pounds less. I didn't know it feels so good, I don't know, to walk the stairways without sweating. I had no idea that this is possible. Yeah, because they live so long with this example with obesity or whatever. So they had no idea how it is to feel like being slim, healthy, and fit. And they don't believe it, because even when you're a role model for them, it's not working for them. It's like, okay, it's for you, but it's not for me. It's not for me. But when they change, and most people just change out of pain. That's unfortunately most people change out of pain, because we always want to avoid pain or have joy. But most people react out of the pain, getting away from the pain. And afterwards said, wow, I didn't know this. Wow, this is amazing. I said, yeah. I told you, but they don't listen.
Very true. Very true.
It's not working. And for me, it's myself, my partner, she's actually today she said, it's amazing, Roland. I never met a man like you. And I said, what do you mean? I said, you're always sharp. You're always on duty. You see what I don't never have to tell you what you should do and clean there or do that. You always work. I never see you sitting down and be lazy. You're always doing something. He said, what do you mean this is normal? I said, no, this is not normal. He said, for me, it's normal. I don't know who you meant. But that's another example. Yeah, I made a decision to be the best version of myself. And it's not about my emotions. I don't feel it now. I don't want it now. I made a decision years ago to become the best version of myself. For me, it's normal. But most people don't do, because they never make a decision. They always have excuses written back to you. I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted. I have no time. Whatever it is.
So true. You know, something I want to add to that, I've been doing a lot of research for a project I have coming up. And one of the things that I found was the difference between people who are considered to be successful in business and people who are not successful in business is how quickly they return correspondence. So in other words, if it's an email, a text message, WhatsApp, etc., do people wait for 24 hours to return or 48 hours, or do they get back to you rather quickly? And it's funny because the research that I've seen is that people who are successful in business get back quickly. And the reason being that they realize the value of time, that time equals money. And I have been spending a lot of time thinking about this because I was told in my past that I respond too quickly, that I don't take time to actually think things through. And I actually always think things through, but sometimes maybe I'm a little more spontaneous. But I typically will get back as soon as I'm able. Now, you and I are broadcasting, and I'm sure I do not disturb them, but I'm sure I'm receiving messages, you're receiving messages. It's not possible. But to be the best version of ourselves, I think we have to look, well, how are we showing up in our business relationships, in our personal relationships? Do we keep people waiting for an exorbitant amount of time because we feel like it's a power play or we're just too busy? And by the way, you know, I don't use that word busy. I hate that word. It's a 4-letter word to me. It has no meaning like I'm doing fair. No, next, I'm okay. No. So what are your thoughts about the fact that being the best version of ourselves also is how we interact with other people?
100%. I mean, it's valuing somebody else's time is just a form of respect, or if you don't value it, it's disrespect. Yeah. And, I mean, time is money. Yeah, that's an old saying. Yes, but for me, time is also happiness and freedom.
True.
And love. Happiness and freedom and love.
True.
So sometimes the time is for me to make business. Sometimes for me the time is just to enjoy freedom and love, whatever it is. But what I absolutely don't accept is if somebody's not respecting my time. And what I do, for example, when I have a business appointment with somebody, I wait 10 minutes, and then I just get up and I leave and I don't come back. And if the person is calling me, I said, I'm so sorry, the person gets a second chance, but never a third one, because it can always happen something. But everyone has a smartphone and can call. And I don't understand why people call in the last minute. I mean, when you are going to be late, you know it 20 minutes before that you're going to be late. But I wait 10 minutes at the longest. And when I have an online meeting, because when I have a one-to-one meeting in somewhere on a spot, I wait 10 minutes the longest. When I'm in an online, like a Zoom or Teams, I wait 3 minutes and then I'm out. That's what I do. And because I'm not accepting it, and this person, I mean, the point is when nobody gets a feedback and it has no consequences. I think what was very important is when we educate people, or when we educate kids. That's what I told my partner. It's nice to say no to your little man, I would say bastard, your little boy, but without any consequences, it's worthless. It doesn't work. Right. And the same is in adult, it has consequences. And my consequence, I get up and say, no, I'm not waiting anymore. You're wasting my time. You're not valuing my time. This is disrespecting. I'm sorry. I don't want to work with somebody who's disrespecting me.
Roland, I so agree with you. And you know that here at USA Global TV and Radio, before we go live, when we have a guest, they have to be backstage 10 minutes beforehand. And if they don't show up 10 minutes beforehand, I've had when I'm hosting a show and somebody shows up 20 minutes after the show starts, and then they're writing in private chat, oh, I'm here. Guess what? you missed the opportunity. You had the instructions, you had the information, and then the person's furious. But the bottom line is you're furious at yourself because you didn't do what you were supposed to do and you wasted our time. And so I think that being the best version of ourselves, we have to realize when we are stepping on other people's toes and when we are trying to push boundaries that have been set for a reason. So I want to talk about that just quickly before we end our show today. But being the best version of ourselves means we understand and respect boundaries, but people always try to push our boundaries. And you just mentioned an example that you have the 3-minute rule. So what would you say to people who they're very uncomfortable setting a boundary? It actually to the point where they'd rather not engage at all. What would you say to someone about what's the first step to be able to set a boundary?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that saying no to a situation or somebody is a yes to yourself. You're validating yourself. But the first thing is a no is a yes to yourself. That's what we have to understand. And it may sound rude. The question is, when we say no, what do we fear? That we not accepted anymore for the other person, that we're not loved anymore from the what do we fear of? Yeah. And again, saying no to somebody else is a yes to myself, because sometimes I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I'm tired. I'm always here, I'm always helpful, but sometimes it's not working. I say, I'm sorry, no, because I need to take care of myself first. It's, when you're in an aircraft, and there's the safety instructions, what the steward always says, put the oxygen mask first before you help others. What does it mean is, when you run out of oxygen, you cannot help the other person. And the same is, we have to look at ourselves first. And this has nothing to do with egoism, but we have to take care about first of ourselves, and then we support others. But some people stretch it very to the left, meaning there's always serve without setting boundaries, and some people stretch it very to the right. It's not a political opinion, okay, by the way. And stretches very to the right, and they always say no because they give a shit of other people. But there's something in between, and I think setting boundaries is very, very important, because otherwise we as you mentioned in the beginning, Jacalyn, we are people pleasers, and when we are people pleaser, we have to think, why are we doing this? Didn't we get enough love and attention from our parents? And we believe that we only get love and attention from other people when we always perform, when we're always there, when we're always supportive, even when we're exhausted, even when we can't do it anymore. And there's some beliefs behind us why we're acting like this, and we have to solve this.
That's kind of the issue, isn't it, about the solving? That's where people start to get a little bit lost, because I found that people are not always looking for solutions. They are hanging on to excuses. The excuses create a barrier. And the barrier is basically, I can't even try to do this or be the best version of myself because I'm dealing with this. I'd like to, but I'm this. You've heard it a million times from people. And the bottom line is, you can find the solution. What gets priority gets accomplished. So if you want to be the best version of yourself, whether it's the strongest, healthiest, being at peace, you have to work on it. It has to be a priority. But if you're spending X amount of time during the day being hateful and being filled with anxiety and just putting it all out on someone else, there's work to be done. And you might not be able to see it, but the people around you can see it, and it's impacting you in a way that you might not even realize. That's what I think about that, Roland.
100%. I also believe, when we realize that we have a problem, maybe a negative belief system, a trauma or whatever, the first question is always, do you want to get rid of it? Do you want to let it go? Yes or no? And maybe if there is yes, is when. And when there is not a now, maybe there's a tomorrow, next week, whatever, then people don't want to let go. And that's the point. You have to make a decision right now. And we have to understand that sometimes we stay in this negative pattern because we believe that we get something out of it. We get whatever it is. But we have to make a decision. I think that's the most important thing. To make a decision what we want in life and then go for it. And I give an example. When I was on stages in the network industry, because I was very successful, I was speaking to thousands of people. Then one of my business partners came to me and said, "Roland, I want to be a speaker too." I said, "What? What do you mean I want to be a speaker? You are a speaker, you're not a speaker." "Yeah, I want to be. I want to be as good as you." I said, "If you want a speaker, go on stage." So I said, I remember when I was on a convention and talking and made my speech, my speech, I brought this person on. I didn't say anything, and I brought this person on stage and said, "Okay, here is Mr. Blah, blah, blah," and he's sharing his story. And he went out, and it was amazing because this person had no idea about being nervous because I didn't tell him to bring up a problem. And that's what I mean. You are someone who you're not. And people say, "I want to be. When I'm good enough, when I learn this, when I know this, when I have this." No, just act. Start. That's all about what I have to say. Becoming your best version is a decision. And we're all born the same, and then we get better and better and better. But it's all about doing. It's not about thinking about it and talking about it. It's about doing. We only become a better version by doing. And of course, we're making mistakes. Yeah, that's part of the game. That we learn it. Again, this way doesn't work. But it's all about doing, not about overthinking.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Well, I really enjoyed this episode of It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. And I know you have a very heavy production schedule for today. So do you want to tell our audience about what it is you're doing here on this platform and then what you're doing outside of this platform?
Okay. So let's start here. On Tuesdays, this time, 6 p.m. Central European Time, noon on Eastern Time, we do It's Your Healthy Lifestyle, Dr. Jacalyn and myself. It's one of my favorite shows, to be honest. I love to talk about health and fitness. I love to people are staying healthy and fitness because that's the base to enjoy life to the fullest. That's what I do. Afterwards, so in a few minutes, I start a German show. It's called the Macher Talk. It's the Macher Talk because in German, in English, it means the doer talk. And I'm talking about doing what you have to do to perform. Sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I just bring my own experience of many, many years as an entrepreneur. And then an hour later at 8 p.m. Central European Time or 2 p.m. Eastern Time, I do the Mutmacher Talk. Sounds a little bit similar, but it's totally different. In English, it means the Encourager Talk. It's about giving people, encourage people, being more inspired and just, okay, do whatever you want to do. There are other people who have the same start line, start line. Just go for it. Do it. Become the best version of yourself. Just do it. And then I'm lucky that I can support my dear colleague Kimberly, so I'm going to produce her show. And what I was also doing is every Sunday, or almost every Sunday, we have a network, I have to say. We run a new show, Dr. Jacalyn and myself, and I love this format. It's an amazing format. It's unscripted. So every Sunday, 7 p.m. Central European Time must be 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope this is correct. That's what I'm doing here on USA Global TV Radio. I did many other shows before. If you want to know more about this, and if you haven't signed up so far, go on YouTube. We always stream live, but we also record. Go on YouTube, on USA Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. There are all the recordings, and you'll find more shows about myself and my colleagues. I'm hurry up. What I'm doing, otherwise, just go on my website, rolandfriedl.com. If you're interested in, find it out yourself. If you want the information, find it. Scroll it, rolandfriedl.com. It's in German and in English. And then you'll find more information about myself. You'll also find my email address. Here's my LinkedIn. And if you want to contact me, you're more than welcome. That's all about me. My email address, office@rolandfriedl.com. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Roland. We will close out the show now, and I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. And thanks for everything that you bring to USA Global TV and Radio. It's quite extensive. I love listening to all of that. So thank you.
It's an honor and a pleasure. And even, my day is full of back because I'm moving tomorrow. I'm here because I love what I'm doing, and I love this platform and the work you're doing. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for making the time, and safe travels to you.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching somewhere other than YouTube, would you kindly consider going over here? If you are watching on YouTube, would you kindly consider subscribing? We really would appreciate it. We have 2 channels, USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. And YouTube is the place to go. I've done a lot of research about where people are watching streaming programs, and YouTube is #1, believe it or not. So we'd love to have you over there. We're also looking for people to join our team. I'm going to play a short clip. Take a look at it, and then I'll be right back.
Hey, you. Psst. Yes, you. Watching this right now. Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this. Your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
Thank you so much for watching that. If you are interested in being a TV show host, if you think you have what it takes, we'd love to hear from you. We are actively looking for TV show hosts who speak other languages than English, as we are looking to continue growing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you again for being here. If you enjoyed our show today, here's something else for you. I have found that most of us give away our value. We are consistently doing things for free. We are taking messages when we are busy. We're taking phone calls when we're in the middle of something. We are offering everything at a discounted rate. And at the end of the day, we don't feel good about it. And when it comes time to pay our bills, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I could have gotten some income there or over here, but instead we gave it all away. So I have a book that is available right now on Amazon and soon in fine bookstores. Take a look. It's called Stop Giving Away Your Value. Thank you for being here. Please do subscribe to our channels, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK.
Videographer and cinematic production, Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.